Mhm. Yo, what up? It's Aaron Moses gang. So this video is about insecurity and doing the work, healing and things like that. Now I know you guys like me to talk about, being toxic and you want me to cover these celebrities and things like that, but there are still some people on here who come on here, for knowledge, wisdom, understanding and the personal growth and development videos. Now we have to understand what security is. Security is abundance. Insecurity is feeling poor to the core, poor on your inside when it comes to certain aspects. Now, you could take something like a person that is not traditionally beautiful, right? They might talk about how ugly they are. They might talk about how, they might be overweight and make overweight jokes. That doesn't necessarily speak to the fact that they're insecure. They might just be secure in their ugliness or their fatness. That's just who they are. That's their physical identity, which is a problem, but we'll get back to that. And you could have somebody that, like me, personally, I think I'm, uh, I think that I'm beautiful in an uncommon way, but you don't hear me on here constantly, damn, because I'm sexy, because that's something that it's there. It's something that was affirmed to me. It's something that I have evidence to show, that I'm beautiful. And I think that I'm beautiful in other ways, and I don't identify with that. Number one, because insecurity, it's a very emotional thing, right? And having pride in your appearance and having pride in things that you didn't have to work for, in my opinion, I think it's very foolish. I think it's just always been very off-putting to me. I'm gonna give you two examples. Now, if you hang around, if you hang around gangbangers, like when I was in Chicago, there were people who were constantly talking about gangbanging. Not because they weren't necessarily gangsters. A lot of people didn't get down like that. That were a little bit older because they already been through that. They weren't constantly listening to gangster music because they just had enough of it at that point. And they weren't living their life and they didn't always have to be mentally prepared. Now, people that are younger, yeah, they were constantly talking about that because they were trying to program themselves to be able to take certain things to a certain level. You know what I mean? So that doesn't necessarily mean that they were insecure and they were gangsterdom. That just means they were trying to program themselves because they knew they might have to get busy a little bit later, or they just got busy a little bit earlier and they're still coming down off that adrenaline rush. Now, people with money, me growing up around in an affluent area, rich people don't typically talk about money 24/7 and talk about how they can save money and make more money unless they're actually just like that. That's just their personality, and they've always been like that. Now, a lot of times, broke people and people who feel like they don't have any way out, of course, you have to program yourself to constantly think about money because you don't have anything and you've never had anything. That's why when I hear people talk about money, it's very cringe. You know, another example, just being secure in my employment at the other place, I didn't have to act all thirsty. I wasn't constantly asking for more hours. When they needed me, I came in. Sometimes when I didn't want to go in, I didn't go in. And then when it came to leave that job, you know, I knew I had another job. I knew there were more jobs. So I didn't have to do all that well. And anybody could just take my job. So I wasn't like, please, can I please? I'll do anything. Like, you know what I'm saying? That's security. And this is something that we have to learn. This is something that is taught. This is something that is learned, whether it be willingly or against the will. It's not like learning how to read. Either you're taught how to read or you don't and you'll never learn because you really can't teach yourself how to read because that's just not something a lot of people do. unless you already have a little bit of information when it comes to learning and reading. You feel me? So at the end of the day, when you have insecurities, you cannot, you have to be real with yourself. Number one, you cannot overcompensate in other areas and expect things to be masked. And expect people not to be able to peep out like, oh, that person is constantly talking about how beautiful they are. They must be lacking in this area, or they must know that their time is coming, or this is happening, or they're always talking about this, so they must be this in this area. They're not happy with themselves in this area all the way. Now, when it comes to insecurity, you have to understand that it's nobody's fault but yours. If you're over the age of 17, it's your fault that you're still like that. Things might have happened to you. People might have cheated on you, or people might have took advantage of you because you thought so highly of yourself in one area, and they showed you that, hey, you're not as whatever as you think. You're not as smart as you think, or you're not as talented as you think. They humbled you, but instead of humbling you, instead of you just understanding, hey, I'm not the only person out here who could sing, you took it as it traumatized you. But what you have to understand is everything is going to be okay. You can't hold certain people to certain standards if you don't have those standards about yourself, because having some kind of learning disorder, or having something that can actually be worked on, something that's of the mind and not necessarily a personality trait, that's totally understandable. That's not natural for everybody, especially when it comes to things like math, when it comes to certain things like historical facts, when it comes to things like your reading and comprehension capabilities. Those things could be fixed almost damn near overnight. You could pay somebody not that much money to teach you how to read. I'm just giving you an example. But you can't necessarily pay somebody to teach you how to be more secure in yourself. That comes from the core. That comes from, number one, you being honest with yourself. That comes from doing the work. Because you can affirm, and you can get a circle around you to make you feel better about yourself. You can take a magic pill all you want, but you're still gonna have certain habits that are gonna exhibit that you still don't have that same confidence. You still don't have that same trust in these areas. Okay? Now, let's go back. You taking pride in something, pride is an emotional thing. It's not a logical thing. 9 times out of 10, pride is something that you feel. It's not something that you know. If you have pride from your knowledge, you just have to understand there's always going to be somebody who has more of whatever it is you take pride in, whatever it may be. There's always going to be somebody better. And if you don't think that, you probably have issues. And if you don't think you have issues, you do. And if you still don't think you have issues, just pretend like you do. But understand, you're not the richest person in the world. And realistically, you never will be. You're not the most beautiful person in the world, because beauty is subjective. I think I'm beautiful. But there's somebody in this world who thinks I'm, a 3. And that's okay with me. Because number one, I don't have too much evidence that I'm a 3. I don't experience the life of a 3. I've never have. Okay, number one. And it's a number of things. I'm gonna look like this for a minute, unless something happens that's not natural. But at the end of the day, I'm intelligent, cool, but I met geniuses. I've had friends that were geniuses. I have friends whose IQs were significantly higher than mine. Did I feel bad about myself? I felt challenged. I felt like, okay, maybe I need to read a little bit more so I could keep up with this person. Or maybe they're humble about themselves enough where if I ask them, what does that mean? Can you explain that to me? I don't get that. My comprehension is not as up there as yours, bro. Help me out. I'm cool with that because I'm a good student. You know what I mean? I know that my beauty and my intelligence to a lot of people, to a lot of life situations, means nothing. Sometimes it has to do with the character of a person. Sometimes it has to do with the integrity and the self-control of a person and the open or closed-mindedness of a person, or the core confidence or the core identity. Why can I wear my hair like this? Why can I go out in public without any care of how I look? It's not because I'm depressed, not because I'm stressed. It's because I don't care, because I know who I am, because I know what I'm capable of. Because I understand that people do a lot of things and learn things and experience things not from themselves, but so they can compete with other people. I don't think a lot of people can compete with me in a lot of different ways. That's where jealousy comes in. If you feel like people can compare with you or compete with you, you're forever gonna be jealous. You're forever gonna be in a fight or flight mode. You're gonna just traumatize yourself even more. You're just gonna hurt yourself more and more and more and more if you're constantly in fight or flight mode. That's where PTSD comes from. When you experience things that traumatize you and you feel like you need to defend yourself or flee. So if you're constantly insecure, that's going to turn on jealousy, that's going to turn on depression, anxiety, paranoia. That's only going to lead you to be more traumatized, and you're going to die sick. And people are going to want to be around you less and less. And the people that you are going to attract that want to be around you are going to be sicker than you, or just as sick, or they just got over what you got over, what you're going through, and they're not going to, or they're going to see you as less than or smaller than, or they're going to pity you, or they're going to try to help you, and they don't really know how to help you like that, so they might just fuck you up a little bit more. This is why we need to take a day, no, a piece of every day, and do the work. Not just popping a pill. Now, if you do take medication, if you take any psychotropic drugs or anything like that, you know, I can't advise you not to do that legally. If you take medicines that help you cope with any past drug addictions, I mean, go ahead and do that if that's what's really helping. But for example, insecurity is a drug, bro. Insecurity is to a certain extent, in a certain degree, a certain level of it, it's just like being a drug addict, because it's a mental health issue at some point. You can't just take a pill and be more secure in yourself and think it's all right. You can't just be around some people, some yes men and some yes women, and they make you feel better about yourself because they want your energy and they want your company. I don't think that's healthy. I don't think that's healthy at all. For example, I know somebody who was an alcoholic, and they brag about how much, you know, they beat their problems, but at the same time, they still have those problems. They handled the fruit, but the roots are still affecting them every day in every way. When they get upset, when they get angry, or when they get happy, they still act like they're drunk. They act like me when I'm drunk. But they're sober. Why? Because they didn't fix the problem. They popped the pill and they have pride for no reason. If they drink right now, they're gonna throw up all over the place and get drunk off of 3 shots, because that pill fucked their bodies up for the rest of the time they're gonna have that body. You know what I mean? So you have to do the work. If you're gonna stop drinking and stop drugging, you gotta work on the root of the problem. Because you're still gonna act like a crazy motherfucker that just can't drink because you're on probation or you're on parole or you're taking this medicine, and if you drink with it, it's gonna fucking give you a seizure or a heart attack or some shit, or you're gonna go into a state of psychosis and be violent and wake up in jail and not know what happened. So do the work, because you don't want to be like that person. Because they think they're cool, because they stopped drinking, because they didn't have much of a choice, because they took some experiments with drugs. But no, I would rather do the work more than anything. Because I have those problems. I have problems with alcohol. It's times where I was drinking a little bit earlier in my early 20s. I'm 31 right now. I would be crying in my bed because I couldn't figure out how to stop drinking, bro. It's true. It's true. I destroyed everything. I became a felon. I lost a lot of good relationships. There's people that have passed away that I can obviously no longer see again, and I would have had more time with them, or remembered at least having more time with them, had I not been drinking. I would have my license. My health would be much better. You know, I would be doing a lot of things that I really want to do. But I chose alcohol because I have a problem, right? But I'd rather do the work and take pride and put my emotions, invest in my emotional body, and invest in my security, and be able to tell my story and be able to help other people, and not just say, hey, just take a pill, all your problems will go away. That's not how you handle life. And life will reflect that. If you do that shit, life will reflect that's not how you handle life. And then you brag about it. That's not smart. And that's not something I would advise anybody to do, because that's not smart. But at the end of the day, it's Aaron Moses, man. I'm the bang, you the bang, we the bang together, man. Life is in the breath. Make sure you like this video, press that bell button, subscribe, man. R.I.P. Nipsey Hussle. Have a nice weekend. P. Her ass talking loud as hell. She probably, you can hear her better than me. Peace.